Look, I'm here. I'm present. To be honest, I don't see the point of any of this. We taking white people's stuff and we making it ours now? We really doing that? I'm not down with that.
You believe therapy belongs to white people?
Yes. I mean, no.
Welcome back, everyone. That was a clip from The Other Stuff, a powerful short film that brings the often overlooked conversation of men's and particularly Black men's mental health to the forefront.
And joining us today to continue that conversation is the team behind this powerful film. Please welcome the lead actor, Dwain Murphy, writer and director, Bernard Gray, and we also have award-winning executive producer, Anthony Q. Farrell.
Here.
It is such a, and you know, I know you were talking about the Black community, but I feel like so many ethnic communities think it's
Absolutely.
a white thing, right? Therapy is a white thing, so that really spoke to me. Anthony, I'm gonna start with you, okay? We watched the short clip, but maybe you could give us a bit of an understanding of what the film's about.
Yeah, I mean, the basic idea of the short film is Winston, who's played by Dwain, is in therapy with his partner who is pregnant. They're with child. She's more comfortable with therapy than he is. He doesn't, you know, like he said, he thinks it's a thing for, you know, it's white people things. So that's kind of where he's coming from. So he wants to deal with his issues in his own way. And after that therapy session, he decides he's going to go and confront the uncle that raised him and fireworks.
Yeah, that's a nice. That is a very nice way to. That's a nice way to put it. All right, so Bernard, there's a quote that I want you to dive into for us. You say that Black men are entirely different species and therefore require a different approach when it comes to discussing mental health. What do you mean by that?
I think the premise of it comes from resources and then circumstance, right? I think the vast majority of Black men, in particular in the GTA, where this film is really contrived from, is we come from first generation, right? We haven't been here in this country long enough to develop the generational wealth, to develop the generational resources. So, you know, a lot of us are still somewhat anti-therapy. And even just the idea of sitting on a couch talking to someone else and then giving them money for it is just somewhat strange to us.
Very
so,
foreign.
right, so, you know, I feel like there's a different approach required with us. Perhaps a different species is a bit aggressive, but we are different.
And you know, when you even look at therapy, in that first scene, there's a Black therapist, right? But how many Black male therapists are there out there? How many Black therapists are there out there? Like it's something that really has a stigma still associated with it. You know, this film was really gripping the entire way. And Dwain, you were in every single scene. So how did you prepare for a role like this? It's so emotional.
The short answer is a lot of crying. No. I like to associate it as, it's a team effort. So I'm not in those scenes by myself. I have co-stars that I'm working with and they're feeding me their energy and I'm trying to reciprocate that energy back to them and we're trying to get to an emotional place that feels raw and authentic. So I never want to associate it that it's me by myself in those scenes. It takes a team. It takes a team effort and it also takes the cameramen, producers, and we're all feeding into something that's trying to be authentic and real. So it is hard being in those scenes and bearing your soul in front of the camera, but that's the job. And that's what we're trying to show, that you know, everyone can connect to this moment and these feelings and what that's like.
Yeah, and you can feel the authenticity coming from you. Now, Anthony, I've got to bring up some of your achievements here. We have a BAFTA-winning, Emmy-nominated writer and producer. I don't want to make things awkward, but I understand that Bernard, maybe stalked is a strong word, but tracked you down and wanted you to be a part of this project. Talk to us about that experience.
Yeah, I think it was after a BIPOC TV and film event. He found me, he got my email, he hit me up, he was like, yo, you got some mentorship, homie? What's luckily I'm in a place where I feel like I've got some credits. I walk around with my BAFTA at home a little bit, so.
As you would.
As you would.
Yeah.
Just hide behind the face. But I have access to a lot of things, and so I try to open doors for people, and I like opening doors for people like Bernard because he's a hustler. I know when I open a door, I'm gonna be like, all right, cool, I'll see you at the top. And then we'll work our way up there, and he's gonna work his way up there to get his...
What he's not telling you is, like, so he's obviously being very humble right here. Anthony in the Black film community in particular, he's the guy.
Yeah.
It's very, like, people will come to me now after we've done this and my queue has grown. And I say, like, who's attached to the project? And if I don't hear his name, I'm like, it probably isn't that good.
Really?
And like, it's reached that point. So he's being very humble, but in our community in particular, he's become, you know, the one to reach out to. And, you know, if you have a problem with him, you're not gonna work with many of us.
Really?
Yeah, it's become that big.
That's fantastic. How does it make you feel to hear those words?
It's a little much.
He's heard it before.
I think he's saying this so that my mom can hear it, which is very nice. I appreciate that.
You know, I want to ask you, Bernard, actually, about a scene that's was really powerful to me. And it's a scene where we see Dwain's character confront his uncle, played by Nigel Williams, and his uncle is speaking in patois. Can you talk to me about the creative choice with patois? Because to be honest, I didn't understand. I had to really, and there was no subtitles.
Yeah.
So why did you choose patois when some of the audience couldn't understand it?
Two things. First of all, I'm writing from a place of comfort. My background is Jamaican. The dialect comes very natural to me. And I wanted to speak to that community in particular because that's what I know. You know, writers write what they know. That was the easiest thing. But also, just as a filmmaker, I feel that if you know, the bar essentially is that if you make a film and we can understand it with the sound off, then you've kind of you've reached that point. I tried to get to that point. I feel like we were successful here. But at the same time, you know, I kind of want to challenge the audience a bit too. Like, hey, like, get into this a little bit as well.
I love that.
That's fantastic. Absolutely. Dwain, it's not just because you're sitting here, but you did such a great job. Like, I recognize your character in so many men and people that I know in my own life.
Thank you.
And I think this movie did a great job of calling out the toxic attitude you see in the Caribbean community when it comes to mental health and masculinity. What's the response been so far?
Ooh, wow. I don't know why you gotta ask me the difficult question here.
Well, you got the turtleneck and the chain.
No, that's a beautiful question. And what I love about that is, like, I can only speak from my point of view in my life, and it's like, I know what the relationship between me and my father is like. And we can only talk about sports. That's the only thing we can bond on. But it got to a place where eventually, like with my father, I would tell him I love him because I'm comfortable at that place now.
Love that.
And in the Caribbean community, and in any community, really, there's a whole thing about the culture where it's like, you know, the dad always have to be masculine men, and for them to show that side, it's vulnerability. So I'm like, hey, you know, I'm comfortable enough now that in my own adulthood, I don't mind looking you dead in your eyes as my father and telling you I love you.
I love that.
And seeing you sit in that uncomfortability of it and what you're gonna do and what your response is. So I think this film has challenged us as people, and the great thing is we can relate to it not just as Black people, any culture can relate to it, is that you open those doors for those conversations to be had now.
And then it's cyclical, right? Because then it's the next generation.
Exactly, exactly. So it's planting that seed moving forward.
Right. Yeah, it's so powerful. And I know this is specifically about the Black community, but I think there's so many communities that can relate to what you're saying here.
Absolutely.
I'm curious about the ending. I don't want to give it away because I hope you all watch it. It's only 15 minutes long, but is it true that you heard, Bernard, that you get more money if you did the happy ending rather than another type of ending?
Yeah, it is something I hear quite a bit. And that, look, I have to be realistic in my expectations of me as an artist. I'm from Jane Strip. You know, I'm from a place where we don't have a lot of happy endings. There aren't a lot of fun stories. And I think something that we need to see more in the Canadian space in general is stories that are authentic to the whole community. You know, we don't have a lot of happy endings. And I think that's necessary. I think that's important. I've chosen to take that approach with my art as long as I can have that autonomy, because there will come a point where I don't have the autonomy and I won't be able to decide how things are disseminated. So while I can still do that, I want to make sure that I speak to that audience.
And we love that you made that decision. Bernard, Dwain, Anthony, thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you for this wonderful piece of art. You guys, you all have to go and see this. It's a fantastic piece of art. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hey, you, come a bit closer. We've got so many more must-see interviews, spicy debates, lifestyle tips, and pop culture moments. So subscribe to our channel by tapping the logo below and don't miss out.